Hi guys, thanks for checking the video out. It's been a while since I've done one, so as you can see I've accumulated a good few pairs of gloves. For those of you who aren't familiar with the channel, what I typically do is review goalkeeper gloves. I'm trying to do some more individual reviews, but I tend to get around to just doing a big batch review of gloves that I've worn the last number of months. I'm lucky enough that I'm playing in a league, a professional league, so my football hasn't been impacted by the virus, so I've got a nice few pairs of gloves after building up, so I'll tell you what I liked, what I didn't like, what I changed, or other things about the gloves that I've noticed. But if you have any specific questions or anything like that, I link my Instagram that I use for this channel in the description below, so you can send me a DM on there, because I tend not to see a lot of the comments, so but if there's anything like that, you can get onto me. But I'll get straight into it anyway. What I actually have here are three pairs of gloves. They are actually all personalised, which is why I have the strap folded underneath one of the gloves. Why I do that is I got destroyed with comments there a few years ago. Fellas asked me to get them trials or moves or stuff to Ireland and things like that, so I just couldn't be dealing with it, to be honest. But three pairs here, two pairs of Popes to start off with. I featured these in a video from maybe last year or so they're more just for comparison. I haven't actually worn them in a while. But this is the newer kind of model of Popes. I actually really like Popes gloves. The quality and the material and stuff used on them is excellent for kind of an independent brand. I paid €40 for these at the time, but I think they're around 60 now. That was kind of a lockdown deal they had going on. But I really liked them in comparison to the model the year before. The only real difference is in the gussets here, that these were latex, these are a mesh gusset here. Much prefer this. I would say this glove is significantly better than this glove, to be honest, just for one or two little reasons. I found that the backhand material on this glove here was excellent in comparison to this one here. I just preferred the kind of more plastic material here than this one, but very small thing. The other thing I didn't really like is I don't really like this kind of abrasion resistance part on gloves. They've since got rid of it on their newer models, but I much prefer this one here. But the mesh gussets, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but when I was used to these ones here, I found there was an awful lot of finger twisting going on with the mesh gussets, and I'm from Ireland obviously, so the kind of cold, you would notice a bit more with a mesh gusset rather than a latex gusset. So that was something I would like to see changed. The new model still features the mesh gusset, so I would like if they kind of regress back to the one that they did previously use. But quality wise and material wise and fit wise, they were really good. These are size 9. I'm typically a size 9 in most gloves, and they were perfect. Latex was excellent. They're absolutely battered. I wore them primarily on AstroTurf, so the discoloration of them is quite significant. Obviously I wouldn't really hold that against them. They badly need a wash as well. But the latex I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10 for the price point. I'd really recommend them. No major issues. Plain latex strap on them as well was perfect. Everything pretty much perfect on the glove, except I would like the gussets to go back to the latex gusset that they had. But all in all, quite a good glove. They're retailing for €60 now at the minute as well. You can't really go wrong for 60 quid for a pair of Popes, to be honest with you. The latex, everything about them, definitely worth the money. So if you haven't had a pair before, definitely check them out. There is some good deals out there as well. So now just throw the ones I've gone over to the side, because we've a few to get through. I'll be all day building them up. Pair of Flines here. I haven't had a pair of Flines in a long time, but I bit the bullet on these because I really like the look of them and I like the backhand material on these. I do kind of like simplicity on my gloves, and these definitely are that. They have a quartzite latex on the gloves and kind of a VG3 cut, like the Nike kind of gloves. They also did come with spines, but in the middle two fingers, but I didn't wear them with the spines there. You can remove them through here. I liked the gloves. I didn't love them, to be honest. I was expecting a little bit better. They were a little bit baggy, I found, on the back end. I don't know, is that because of the incorporation of spines, but I just thought that they didn't fit that well. The other thing I was a little bit let down by was the latex itself. I've had some quartzite latex over the years that I've absolutely loved, that have been brilliant in the wet. This was below average, to be honest, in the wet. So I was disappointed by that, to be honest. I paid about £35 for them. I can't actually remember exactly. They were on the cheaper side, so you can't complain too much. But I just expected a little bit better. I was excited by the gloves, and they were a little bit of a letdown. I like the cut. The mesh gussets like you would have on the night gloves aren't there. This is a latex gusset. I did like that. The cut is quite good itself. No major complaints. Obviously, they're kind of the backhand logo here was expected to fade away. It did, no big issue with it. Really like the look of them, strap and everything perfect, size wise again, size 9 perfect, but the latex for me on these gloves just let them down. And the last pair of Flines I also had were kind of the Peter Schmeichel kind of remix, and I also found the latex on them was quite poor. So I don't know, is it just a cheaper kind of manufacturer they're going to or what, but I do think that the quartzite in this gloves is significantly worse than other quartzites I've used, which was a real disappointment. So unless that's fixed in the next kind of range, I probably wouldn't be recommending F-line gloves, to be honest, even though they are a brand I absolutely used to love a couple of years ago. And again, this is all just one man's opinion, like, you know, other people could have different opinions, but I just found that these were average at best, and there is other gloves out there now that offer more for slightly more money that I think is worth it. So a little bit disappointed by these. I would be willing to give F-Line another go, because I have had maybe 10 pairs over the years, and I've had maybe 7 or 8 really good gloves out of them. So just, yeah, a little bit let down by these, but not the end of the world for the money that they're on offer for, and they do look quite nice as well, to be fair. Next up, I have 2 pairs of Allsports. So these are obviously the Super Grip latex, and these are the Aqua Grip latex here. So as I was kind of saying there about the F-Lines, value for money on these, wow, like, you know, I've said some critical things about Allsport over the years, and I stand by them, and these aren't much better. They are a little bit better. The Super Grip Plus latex, they're calling it now, it's a bit better, you know, but it's still not great. Like, I would not use these if there was any moisture out there at all. I wore them 10 times, I'd say, in training. I wouldn't wear either of these in a match, to be honest with you. And they were brilliant in the dry weather. They are just phenomenal. Both gloves, even these aquas as they call them, are exceptional in dry weather. But once there's the tiniest bit of moisture in the air, they're appalling. Like, you know, I really wanted to like these, but I have no confidence in the gloves whatsoever. Like, I would give those F-Lines maybe a 6 out of 10. I give both of these gloves a 1 or a 2. Honestly, they're that bad. I just can't understand how the latex is still on the market for what it's actually providing and for the money that it's providing. You know, like, I don't know how many gloves are there, 25, 35 pairs, I don't know, at a guess. These are literally the worst. It's the worst latex I've ever used, and these are retailing for 100 odd quid, I'd say. I'm not even sure what they're kind of going for. I paid maybe 65 and 55 for these. I got a deal on a website in Germany, and I was like, I'll take a punt, because I'm interested to see if they've gotten any better. And to be honest, they have got a little bit better, but they're still quite terrible for what you want out of a glove. And for this price point, you'd expect a glove that can perform in almost any conditions. So they can't. In Ireland, it's raining 2/3 of the year, and not even in rain, if you put some water onto your gloves here, the grip is just gone like that. So I really can't recommend them. They are size 9. The fit is incredible on them. I love the fit on these gloves. This kind of I can't remember the name of the cut now, but the Hugo Lloris kind of cut that is on them, I like it. I traditionally wear negative or hybrid gloves all the time. I actually did not mind the cut at all on these. One thing I will say is, up until here on the glove, it's really sturdy, kind of reinforced, and then the fingers get quite flimsy. It's just a little bit of a funny kind of a feeling on your hand that your fingers are in the weakest part of the glove. Like, this part here is extra reinforced, and then it gets really light up here. So when you're making fingertip saves, you do kind of notice that. Well, I did anyway, personally. Not a deal breaker, it was just something I kind of noticed, that I would have always preferred it the other way around, that my fingers feel supported rather than my knuckles here. But again, that's just me. Materials on the back end and stuff, the neoprene is excellent, fit is excellent, like the wrap over, wrap under here, all positives. But like, if you just put any other latex on this, it'd be a better glove. You know, this is just, you know, it's just for show. You know, like, don't buy this glove, like, you know, no matter what deal it's on. Like, these aren't worth €20 to me. You know, I couldn't wear them, I couldn't depend on them, so kind of what's the point? Strap then, obviously, the strap doesn't stitch on the back end here, or it's kind of closed on your wrist here. I wasn't sure about it when I saw it, but it's actually fine. When you're wearing it in training or whatever, you do not notice it, to be fair. So no issues there, and obviously a lot of big brands are going to kind of a strapless trend at the minute, so it's definitely better than a strapless trend. Fits well, no issues with that. The only thing is the latex and Ulsport, like, you know, come on, yeah, like it's just not good, you know, I'm sorry, unfortunately. I also had these then, the same order, a pair of aqua grips that I was hoping would be more up my street. I had a pair of the promo models of these a few years ago, the ones that the professional keepers use, and they were outstanding. You can go back and check my reviews on them. So I used to love Allsport gloves, but over the past maybe 4 or 5 years, they're just gone crap, to be honest, unfortunately. I thought the aqua grips, because they're marketed as an aqua grip glove, would be a bit better, but they're not. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same latex, it's just blue. I wore them in the dry weather that we just happened to have a little bit of a mini heat wave here in Ireland. Love the gloves, love the fit in them. I don't even like black gloves, to be honest, but these are just so stealthy. I really like them. And then once any bit of moisture again came, a bit of wet weather, they were just crap, as in, like, I would have quite strong hands, quite good hands, I would say, and I honestly just felt like the ball was about to slip out of these gloves. Like, I see the modern day GK has a pair of like zero grip gloves. You may as well just buy these, you know, and just wet them, because that's what they kind of felt like to me. So massive letdown. If you only kind of take one piece of advice from this video, stay away from Allsport gloves at the minute, unfortunately. So hopefully Allsport eventually get away from kind of this kind of a latex and get back to more kind of traditional gloves that perform in other conditions rather than just bone dry. But for now, yeah, very disappointing in these, especially for the price. And then moving on, so no kind of pattern to this video, whatever comes out now, I'm just going to talk about it. So I have 2 pairs here, a pair of Sambas and a pair of Seismics. I've never had a pair of Sambas before. I'm not even sure they're still on the market. I know Kieran Westwood of Sheffield Wednesday was wearing them briefly, but I actually bought these on eBay for £7. So I just kind of couldn't leave them there. They're actually grand. They're not the best gloves I've ever had, but for the price you couldn't really complain. They remind me an awful lot of Precisions. I've heard that a guy who used to work at Precision was actually behind this brand, and that would not surprise me. A lot of the material and stuff feel very similar. You can even see the strap and stuff here. That looks like a Precision strap if you just take off the logo. So don't know if that's true or not, but that's just what I heard. They have a quartzite latex on them as well. It was actually very good, you know, to compare this to the F-Line one. It was a good bit better, to be fair. That kind of a hybrid cut here as well. I like it, I don't love it. I'd wear it if I had to, but it's not my personal preference. But if you do like this cut, no issues with it at all. You know, it is pretty nice. I did find that this area of the back end here, there was a little bit baggy, but again, that could just be on my individual hands, you know, you don't really know. Couple of things then I didn't actually like about the glove, the thumb here, you know, it's not even wrapped over. It feels very blocky when it's on your hand. To me, it looks it there as well, doesn't it? And it actually feels it as well when you're wearing it. Not the biggest deal in the world, you know, you do kind of get over it, but you know, it doesn't take that much effort to wrap over a thumb, you know, on the glove, you know, so that's a bit disappointing. An actual big issue on the gloves then is the wrist bandage, not so much the strap, is massive. I have decent sized wrists and it was hanging off me, to be honest with you. You know, it is absolutely huge. I think like that just looks massive to me. So that is an issue. Like, you'd want a good bit of tape around your wrist. I don't particularly like taping my wrists, but I felt I nearly had to on these gloves just to fill up the wrist area here. So that is a bit of an issue, to be honest. And then the wrist strap itself, it's fine, you know, it actually secures pretty well, but it's a bit of a cheap material, so that is a little bit annoying. Back end is kind of the kind of pro issue material as well. It's really soft. I actually did like that. I don't know, are these kind of a pro version or what, that I happened to just get my hands on eBay, but I actually really like the back end on them. It's nice and kind of spongy here, so for the money I paid for them, no, you can't complain about them. But not the best gloves ever, but if you see a deal on them, they do perform and they're reasonably decent gloves. Not so sure about the looks of them either, and the kind of Hyundai kind of looking logo on them here, but yeah, not too bad. So if you pick them up for cheap, take a punt on them. You can't really go too wrong for training or whatever. But yeah, not the best, not the worst, but for the money I paid, I can only give real positives other than the 1 or 2 little downsides there. But nothing major with these gloves. So yeah, if you see them for a deal like that, definitely check them out. And now another pair of gloves here, my seismics. Really nice gloves. So I wore these for about 10 times over the winter. We had kind of a brief lockdown here in Ireland where there was kind of no sport, and I wore these a good bit. I ended up wearing them on a pitch where they just should not have been worn. It was an absolute farm almost, and they just never recovered from that. They were caked in mud, and it just kind of was a bit of a death sentence to them. But before that, they were absolutely class. And again, they kind of have the VG3 cut, you know, as the F-line gloves I had mentioned earlier did. But yeah, really like these. Not the biggest fan of the black gloves, but there's a nice contrast here with the fingers kind of overlapping here, so that was nice. Nothing major I didn't like about this glove. The strap is excellent. It's kind of a stretch strap on the back, and then it goes to a more traditional latex here on the front. Really like that, you know, just a small detail. Wrap over, wrap under thumb here. The thumb is really nice, something I've mentioned a few times before on other seismic gloves that I really liked. They have mesh gussets here, a bit of light coming in there now, but it's kind of a yellow mesh here. I prefer a latex gusset, but it was fine on these. It's kind of well reinforced, so no issues there. One thing I will say about these gloves as well, that's good. Some VG3 gloves, the kind of Nike copies that have wrap over fingers here, that the finger would be quite twisted. On these, it's definitely not. It's really good. Like, they must come from a good factory, I would say. Like on some other gloves like this I've had, you'd find the finger is a little bit like this. These aren't. It's a really well made glove, to be fair. The latex on them, it was good, not the best I've ever had, but I paid €50 I think for these, something like that. It is a good latex. I would prefer maybe like a Contact or something for an independent kind of brand glove over it, but it is very good, and it's quite durable as well. As like I was doing double sessions someday in these, and there's minimal to no wear on these. So if you are looking for a value for money glove that kind of does what you're expecting of it, this is definitely a good purchase. Obviously I'm from Ireland as well, so you know, a bit of bias there, kind of support your own and all that, but the designs on them, like if you're looking for a glove that isn't just a copycat of another big brand, like this is a very unique design, you know. It is quite striking and quite nice, so definitely a glove to check out anyway. Size 9 again, I wear size 9 in most things, and again these are perfect, and there's a lot of different other models on the website as well. But yeah, really impressed with these. I would check them out again. Maybe if they brought down a whiteout version of these, be more up my street. But yeah, I probably will invest in another pair of these again in the not too distant future. And then another pair, couple of pairs here. So I have a pair of Reich gloves here. I don't know if I actually featured these on the channel before. I wore them a good while ago now at this stage, but I actually really like them. Really good gloves, you know, the materials on these are quite high quality. I did wear them in the summer, and what I thought they were going to be is a bit of an Ullsport latex, but I wore these in predominantly dry weather, and as far as I remember, the latex was really good on them, you know, so I would recommend these. I love the back end materials, the neoprene, and then the kind of more, it's kind of I'm not sure what the material name here, but it's quite hard wearing along the wrists, is really nice. The cut of these gloves as well, I love them here, the Evolution cut, wrapping around your fingers. It's so tight fitting while still providing security. So yeah, very impressed with these. The thumb as well, it's not wrapped over in the traditional sense, but it gives the feeling of a wrapped over thumb. You can see there it is slightly wrapped over. Really liked it. Again, I have no complaints at all with these gloves. I wore them to death on AstroTurf primarily. There is a little bit of a chunk there, but that's probably my own fault, not the gloves. But yeah, really impressed with these. I'm going to be getting some of the new range that's coming out for the Euros in about 2 weeks, so I'll get to wear them in a bit wetter weather than these, so to really test them out. I never actually wore these in a game, all training. But yeah, I really like them, so if you can get a good deal on these, I would take a look at them. Size 9 again, perfect for me. I would be looking at trying one or two of the other cuts there as well, but the Evolution cut here that I've used was right up my street anyway. So yeah, very impressed with them. The blue and the yellow as well is quite striking. Don't know whether I loved or hated it, but I wore it anyway. More traditional colour might be more up my street, as I said before. But yeah, quite impressed with these at the time I had them. I used to wear Reich gloves an awful lot when I was younger, and kind of just moved away from them mainly because of the price, but there's a few discount codes and stuff going out there now for Reich gloves, so if you can get your hands on a good deal, definitely worth checking out. So yeah, impressed enough with them. And then one of the more dark horse gloves I have in this collection, a pair of Stannos. Never had a pair before. Saw these on Just Keepers, and I was ordering a couple of other pairs, and I was just like, oh look, I get these for training. Absolutely blown away by these gloves. Literally, they are one of the best gloves I've ever worn. I really did not expect that. One or two things I didn't like about them, all the same, but the latex on these gloves is incredible. So I know Sells gloves, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with some Sells gloves. Are made in the Ukraine, and a pair, I used to have a lot of pair of New Balance gloves are made in this factory where these gloves are made, so I've been told, and the latex is outstanding. I wore these 30 or 40 times, absolutely battered them, and the latex just kept going and going and going. Could still wear them now, even though they look like they're beat up a bit, but in the wet this latex is phenomenal. I have a sneaky suspicion that it's very similar to the top of the range Sells latex, to be honest, and it's half the price, if even more. Definitely worth checking out. Again, this cut isn't my absolute favourite. I like a little bit of a tighter cut. It is more of a roll finger, kind of takedown of a roll finger, I suppose, rather than a negative cut kind of. But I really like these gloves. The latex is exceptional on these. I wore these in driving rain and snow and everything over my pre-season. Perfect. Really good. More of the kind of classic look as well, the white and blue kind of colourway. It's nice, you know, nothing too offensive about it. You know, you either kind of like the classic look or you don't, but the latex is the seller for these. Really good. Honestly, I'm very impressed with these gloves. And the one kind of thing I did not like about them, the strap is actually perfect, but the wrist entry is quite short. You can see it there like that. That looks strange. Obviously the latex is extended onto the wrist area here, making it look shorter. It actually comes up to about here, but if the wrist entry came to about there, it would just finish off the glove. I just found, you know, when you're putting your glove on, a little bit of a rush, you tie it like this and it would almost be coming down over this area here. Very minor thing, isn't it, to be complaining about, but that would just kind of take away one thing I didn't like about the glove. But other than that, I paid £35 for these. If I got these for 65-70, I'd still be saying they were good value. They're exactly what I'd be expecting out of a wet weather glove. Again, a lot of what you're paying for in gloves these days is the marketing behind them, like the old sport gloves I referenced earlier have all the hype and no performance. These have absolute performance and no hype. So not too many sponsored keepers other than the Eredivisie and a few leagues in Europe wear these gloves. But yeah, they're probably a 10 for me, to be honest, for what I paid for them and what they actually gave. So if you can find them, definitely worth giving a try. I haven't ever tried another pair of Stanno gloves to kind of compare them to, but yeah, I was really blown away by these, I must say. So not your everyday brand you'd have a look at, but definitely worth checking out. I suppose I'll move on then. I think I featured these on a previous video before, my Sells. I liked these, didn't love them. The latex on these was the best Sells latex I've ever had, to be honest. These are from the kind of Europe range. But stitching issues on these were, like, look at that now. I've wore these maybe 10 or 11 times and they shredded. And there's a couple of stitching issues. I can't exactly remember where on these gloves either now, but on one of the fingers I know that there was a good bit of ripping on them. I can't find it. Oh yeah, here it is. You can't really see it there, I'd say, but there's a pretty decent tear there on that glove. They all happened out of the actual bag, so that was a bit annoying. Ripped here as well. But yeah, these were ripped here as well, actually, and ripped there. So like, for the price Sells are commanding for it, and it's popping there too, and I haven't actually worn these that much. For the price Sells are commanding these days, you'd expect them to be indestructible, and they're just kind of not. But I did like them all the same. If you can get a good deal on Sells, which is harder and harder to come by these days, I would try them. They're not my favourite gloves in the world, but they are decent. They do have a lot of pro keepers on board backing them up now as well, which is kind of cool to see, I suppose, to be wearing the same gloves and all that. But the new range is so expensive, it'll be a long time before I get to try them out. But the latex on these was far better than the models on Pro Direct and stuff, I will say that. So if you can get your hands on the Europe range, I would try them out. Both of these are size 9 as well. Size 9 was definitely a good fit on the previous models of Sells. They were actually an 8.5 I was wearing, but I'd wear a size 9 in these ones. But yeah, a little bit disappointed by them when you compare the price of these to the price of the Stannos that I had just kind of mentioned. The Stannos were better than these in the wet weather. So something to consider there. But yeah, they do look nice, striking designs on them. So if you can get your hands on them, they are worth a try. But not the best gloves I've ever worn, all the same. So now I get a few more pairs out. So a pair of Nikes, a pair of Pumas, and two pairs of Old Sports here. Start moving along a little bit. So my first pair of Nikes that I've had in a good while, I have these ones here actually as well. I've worn these years ago, not too much to talk about them. They're a size 9, a little bit big fitting, but these are the promo versions. I've featured these in previous videos, you can go check them out. But these ones are from the newer model. They're the RVS version, so the two middle fingers are negative cut. Strange gloves, to be honest. When I got them out of the packet, I actually thought that they were about a size 7. They were so tight, as in unwearably tight. I had to like wear them during work nearly at home to try and stretch them out, and only after like 3 or 4 uses when I wore them did they actually feel like they fit to my hand. They were the tightest gloves I've ever worn out of a packet for a size 9. My fingers don't feel like they're bursting out of the glove as if they're the wrong size, but they're just so tight on my hands. I possibly need a 9.5 in these, which if I ever had to change size in gloves, I'd be going down and not up usually. But they were just so tight that I actually liked the gloves, but they was just uncomfortable to wear, and I felt like the blood was nearly getting cut off my fingers. They were so tight. But saying that, once I actually got to use them and kind of broke them in a little bit, they were quite good. They're not the traditional VG3 cut, so the latex doesn't wrap around here as it kind of did on my seismics and Flines. I don't know if I prefer it or not, to be honest. It doesn't make much of a difference to me. It's definitely not traditional, but I like the simplicity of night gloves usually. A lot of good with it, but it's just a few kind of quirky things, like the sizing on the gloves and things like that was, like I couldn't buy these gloves, get them delivered on a Tuesday and wear them on the Saturday. You know, they took a few wears to kind of break in, to be honest, but I do still like them all the same. I probably would buy another pair in a 9.5. They're quite simple, no kind of thrills and spills with them, but plain latex wrist strap here, that's something that definitely calls out to me. You know, some of your kind of bigger brands now are doing a lot of gimmicks, I find, with their wrist straps, but this is just all you want, tight and secure. Again, I would like if this was either latex, like a lot of the pros do have at the minute, or else if this was wrapped under here, wrap over, wrap under, yeah. But the latex is quite good. It's a high grade contact foam. It's not the best latex on the market, but it is quite good. I would recommend it. I actually liked the cut, but I do know a lot of people would rather that they went back to the traditional VG3 cut, which I can understand, but it didn't make much odds to me. The wrist, or the latex here is short. I don't mind it again, but I can see why people want it brought down there. But all in all, they're good gloves, but just the fitting on them was so odd. It was the strangest kind of sensation when I put on the gloves. I actually felt like, you know, that they were just never going to fit me. Eventually, it was actually more expensive to post them back than just kind of get on with and wear them in training. But once I did break them in, they are quite good gloves, and I do like the look of them. So probably a 7.5 out of 10, just because that is a bit annoying, you know, the sizing on them. It took a while to get them to kind of stretch out almost to mold to my hand. So that reason alone, I would have to knock them quite significantly. But other than that, they are quite good gloves. So if you can get them for a good deal, like I paid €40 for them, these are the promo versions, I would recommend it, but probably go a half a size up at least, I would say. But yeah, all in all, decent gloves. Next up then, I have my Pumas. I very, very rarely get Puma gloves, and I got these on Amazon for practically nothing. I think it was about a tenner, and I was really, really surprised by them. They're actually an 8.5, and they fit, but I would probably buy them in a 9 if I had to. Again, you know, if I was buying them full price, just they only had them in an 8.5 when I actually ordered these, so I was like, oh, I'll take a chance and hope they fit. Pleasantly surprised with them though, but one obviously massive issue, I changed the straps on these gloves. I buy these straps off of Pro Keeper's line, and I changed them onto gloves where I don't like the straps. These possibly had the worst straps I've ever seen on a pair of gloves. It was hanging so far over the glove, like when they were tied, it had about this much overhang on them once it was tied over. So the worst straps I've ever seen on a pair of gloves. Can't believe that anyone would sign off and putting them on. But Other than that, they are actually really good. The latex was really surprising. Like I get that latex a 9 out of 10. You know, I'd say you probably get these for 50 or 60 quid at the minute. Like, you know, they're probably worth it, to be fair. They have kind of a hybrid cut as well. Like it, the gussets here are really high quality. They're very sturdy. They're like almost rubber. Like, they're so strong. I actually quite like that. No real complaints about the gloves. The orange colour is definitely not for me, but other than that, they have some other colourways that are quite nice. The black and yellow and the black and pink ones that I would definitely wear. Really good gloves, but just the strap is an abomination on the retail versions. I ended up changing it. I have this one actually strapped here, or stitched here. The stitching just popped on this one, which is usually what I would do on gloves around changing the strap, and that made a big difference. But yeah, I would definitely recommend these gloves. I have them in an 8.5. Like your gloves super tight, you could drop a half size from your traditional sizing, but I'd probably get them in a 9 when I'm ordering another pair of these, and I actually probably will. And Puma aren't a brand that I'd be too loyal to in Goalkeeper gloves, so yeah, really impressed with those. If you can get a good deal on them, definitely worth checking out. Next, I have another 2 pairs of All Sports that I've kind of forgotten about. These are the Reflex version, so they're super negative cut. They're both absolute grip ones, and these are the Carnival ones. I quite like these gloves actually. Absolute grip. If I had to wear Allsport gloves, is the only latex that I would actually wear off them. It's the only one I even slightly trust. I featured these in a previous video. I didn't even know they were in this pile, to be honest, but decent gloves. They're okay. You know, if you want to wear Allsport gloves, they are ones to check out. I love the look of these. They're one of my favourite gloves of all times, the backhands, but the thumb is terrible on them. You can see the difference in the thumbs here. This one is wrapped over and this one isn't, and this one is a mile long. Like, my thumb only comes to about there on the gloves, and they're both a size 9. They're decent gloves. I wouldn't be raving about them, to be honest, but they are pretty decent. You know, if you get a good deal on them, they're probably worth checking out. The only thing, the Reflex ones, they're so negative cut. I wear negative cut gloves pretty much all the time, and for the last maybe like 5 years or so. And sorry, I ended the video. But these are too negative. They're almost like, I'd say if you had very slender hands or something like that, they would be good, but they're so tight. I personally couldn't get to grips with them. I could feel the seams on my finger here when I was wearing them. So yeah, that was a little bit annoying, to be honest, wearing them. So they might suit some people though, but yeah, pretty average. You know, worth taking a look if they're for a decent price, and the look of them is actually brilliant, to be fair, on these ones. So yeah, that's the All Sport gloves there. Next up, I have 2 pairs of Titans here. So these ones at the left, my left here, are the Titan by Keeper Sport gloves. I was really excited by these gloves, but I was so let down by them. I love the look of Titan gloves, you know. I just always have these. Actually did have straps on them, but I've they're removable, and I have them taken off, and I'm actually using them on a pair of strapless Adidas gloves at the minute, so that's why they have no straps in them. I really like these ones, a lot about them anyway. They have a quartzite latex on them that was really good. As far as I remember, it's been a while since I wore them. They have a massive wrist area here though, the kind of abrasion resistance and extended wrist. I didn't really like that. It's quite cumbersome, and they're a 1-piece kind of neoprene here. It's a little bit wide or something like that. It doesn't fit that well, but it's not that bad. It's okay. Just I would kind of tidy that up a bit on this glove. But yeah, I really like them, and they have kind of a wraparound stretch strap normally that was pretty good as well, to be fair. I would prefer these than these, to be honest. These were a massive letdown, so a few reasons behind it. The latex on them is okay, but one thing, like, they're Titan and Keeper Sport kind of a link up, and I just can't understand the strap on these gloves. You know, like, Keeper Sport call themselves the goalkeeping experts, and Titan makes some really good gloves, but the strap on these gloves, I'm trying to close it now here with my left hand. When you have the glove closed, it seals like this. It's not just me now, I know a couple of keepers who have this glove, and it seals like out here, so the wrist strap here is flapping about the whole time when you're wearing it. It's like that the wrist strap was made to fit the latex part here, and then they just added this bit in and forgot to think about how it would actually fit. Like, it's just terrible to me to have that, like, looking at that. And I notice it when I'm wearing the glove, so that's a massive deal breaker for me. It's just something that annoys me with the gloves. But other than that, they're not that bad. One thing, they are a little bit too light for me. I know a lot of keepers like tight fitting gloves, and so do I, but these are lightweight tight fitting gloves, which I like a little bit of a security in my gloves, so the lightweight on this is just a bit too lightweight for me. That's not really a knock on the glove, it's just something to be aware of. It's kind of a mesh lined here, and it does not much protection off it, I find, and the kind of elements here don't offer much protection. So I would actually really like this glove if it was latex gussets instead of mesh gussets. Something I would definitely look at. And then the latex on the gloves, it was pretty good, you know, probably a 7 out of 10. No complaints with it. They were 50 or 60 euro. I can't remember how much I paid for them, something like that. It's about what you would expect for that much money. You know, they were pretty good, not the best. But yeah, the strap just drove me wild on these gloves. It just pissed me off so much because it actually, like if you're crossing over or anything, you'd have this flicking all the time here in the wind or something like that. So it's very annoying. I'm surprised that it actually went to market like this. But Titan gloves, I do actually like them, but that's one thing that is really irritating me on these gloves. Not the best, not the worst, but they're both size 9. I'd stay true to sizing them. I'm hopeful that the next range of seismics has, or not seismics, Titans has those few things kind of just tweaked out, and then they could actually be really, really good gloves. So I live in hope with those. I have 1 or 2 of these things after popping off as well, but you kind of expected that when you wear them a good bit. So yeah, worth checking out if there's a sale or something like that, and hopefully on the next range those 1 or 2 issues will be fixed. Next up then, which will be the bulk of the gloves in this review, I have a lot of Adidas gloves, an awful lot of Adidas gloves, too many. I spoke about these gloves a good few times. Some of these I haven't even worn. I have, how many pairs? I have 5 pairs of that colourway. Really like them, actually matches the Preds I'm wearing at the minute. I love these gloves. The URG 1.0s, obviously they're not for everyone. Like they're shredded in some of these gloves now, to be honest, and there's nothing you can do about it. But I wear them for 5 games each at a time. Even if, like this one here, I've worn this one for 5 games, and there's actually not that much wear in this game, but I just retire them after 5 games because the grip goes pretty quickly. You can see how soft that latex is, and I've worn it in 5 tough games, like, and I wear them all in the warm-ups as well. I wear the same gloves in the match as I do in a warm-up, and I just love these gloves. The one thing I hate about them is they are strapless. So I have been using, 2 seconds there, I use these straps. So I have Velcro that I buy in B&Q, and I stitch it onto this area of the glove, stitch this strap onto the glove and seal it up there. Massive hassle, to be honest. It's so painful, but I really just don't like strapless gloves. I will never kind of warm to it either. So I just really like the URG 1.0 latex. I'm gone so kind of used to it now that I end up just wearing these. Love the cut in them too. Lightweight, still offers a security, and again, like, everything is subjective. I can live with the wear and tear on these gloves, which it would not be advisable for someone who's worried about the cost of their gloves, but I personally don't mind it. I can kind of live with knowing I'm getting 5 games for, I get these for about 70 to 80 euro typically, so I can kind of live with that. But if you're kind of just an amateur keeper who wants his gloves to last for 3-4 months at a time, stop watching now and don't ever buy these, because they will break your heart, unfortunately. But I've just learned to kind of live with it, unfortunately, at this point. My bank account isn't thanking me. I have a few other cutaways over there, all the same glove. You know, these ones obviously had the Velcro on them for the straps, which was a massive help for me personally. I'm kind of hopeful that Adidas eventually come back around to that. I have the black and red ones here as well. I'll just fly through these now. I didn't even know all these were still here. I have a couple of the older models here. Really like them. Obviously these have the strap and they're negative cut with the 1.0. This is the best. These are my favourite ones ever. They're so soft. The URG 1.0 latex has changed slightly over the last couple of years. I think it's hard to tell, but like, these are one model apart. Obviously they have different amounts of wear on them, but they feel like different latexes to me, but it's hard to know. And you can see the difference between the retail version here now. If I bring this one over and that one over there now, see this one here and this here, which is only worn 2 or 3 times. There's nothing really in it, you know. So I wouldn't recommend the Adidas retail versions, to be honest. Only the 1.0. to be honest, but that's just me. Again, as I said, it's massive personal preference in Adidas gloves, because some people can't handle the longevity or the lack of longevity out of the 1.0. And then next up, more Adidas actually. I have these finger save ones. I featured these on a previous video. I really didn't like them. I had a hand injury when I ordered them, is the reason I actually injured it. I had popped something on my hand there, so I bought a pair of finger saves in the hope of coming back a few weeks earlier. But they're massive. They're size 9, but they fit like a size 10. I just couldn't wear them. I'd rather just play away without it. Never actually worn them, so they're brand new. I took the plastic off and there's a little bit of a stitching issue or something. I know that. Oh yeah, here, there, now you can see I just nicked that when I was taking the plastic off, but I never actually wore them. They never touched the ball, so if anyone is interested in them, probably actually they're size 9, but they probably fit a size 10. If anyone does want them, I'll give them away cheap. They're actually brand new, other than that little nick there from taking the plastic off. But yeah, really massive wide fitting gloves. I need them in a size 8 rather than a size 9, so I do like the look of them though. The camo look is quite cool. And they have obviously spines in the 4 fingers here, not in the thumb. So if you are on the lookout for them, you can get onto me, you can have them or whatever. They're just not for me personally. I saw like Galaxy and keepers like that wearing them, and I thought, you know, maybe I'll give them a go, because I used to wear finger saves a lot when I was younger. But yeah, definitely not for me. And then the kind of newer model of the previous gloves I'd shown, I will pick up a few more pairs of these. I really like these. I actually wore them with my Titan strap here. I just have it taken off now because I just washed them. But I really like them. As you can see, they're absolutely shredded though. You know, that'll drive some people mad now. But I've just learned to kind of live with it, that it's part of the territory with these gloves, unfortunately. But yeah, they were really good. The backhand on these, I prefer it than the older model. It's slightly thicker, this material. I couldn't tell you what this material is, but it's definitely thicker than the previous material, and I prefer it. I also prefer, what I can show you here now with these ones is, you can see where the Adidas logo sits, the 3 stripes here and the 3 stripes here. It's higher up on this glove, and it's much better for keepers like me who put their own strap on the glove. So when I was putting my strap on this glove here, it covered this half, I'd say, of this Adidas logo here, and it was just a little bit annoying, you know. It just didn't look right. Whereas now when you put it on, the strap sits around here and it looks as if it belongs there. So obviously that's just for me. I hate strapless gloves. I just think they're such a fad that will eventually kind of wear out. But I put a strap on these gloves and it makes all the difference to me. I wouldn't wear them strapless. But yeah, I really like them. I'm hopeful the black and pink kind of model comes out to match the current Predators as well soon. So that will be something I'll be looking out for. But yeah, I really like these gloves. Hopefully next year we see the return of the strap. That would make my day, because it's becoming a massive pain trying to find straps for these at the minute. But yeah, really like them. Performance wise, 10 out of 10 for me. You know, the latex is just incredible. So I'll still be wearing these in the future, unfortunately, for my bank account again. Coming towards the end now, last few pairs here. It looks like I'm actually missing one of these. I have it somewhere, but right glove of an MGGK glove. They're brand from Northern Ireland. Came on scene a few years ago. They were okay. I bought these secondhand, to be fair. They're not brand new. I like the design of them. You know, it's quite simplistic. I needed a pair for training that I didn't mind getting scuffed up. They were okay. The latex wasn't great, again, to be honest. There's probably better independent brands out there. It's a low grade contact latex is what it is. It's advertised as a contact, but I just don't think it was that good. Why I liked it is quite simple. You know, the back end design it's basic enough, isn't it? It looks like quite a lot of other brands. I know they've got some flack in the past for that, you know, copying other brands as well, which is probably fair enough. But the strap on them is quite nice as well. Like the colorway, they're kind of like a Cells kind of colorway, but for a good bit less of the price. They're okay if you can find them for cheap. Probably worth checking out. They are handy for me as well, just because the postage is so quick and things like that. But yeah, 6 out of 10 for me personally. There's other independent brands out there that are much further along than this. Then one of my favourite gloves, again, I have 3 pairs here. I may as well put them all in to kind of finish up. And they're there. If you're watching now, I'll be fairly impressed. But I have a pair of Keeper Sports here. I actually bought these, wore them once, couldn't wear them again, just not for me. Quite terrible gloves in my opinion. You know, the latex is actually the best part of them, which is obviously the most important part. But there's a few things. This finger here, it was a manufacturing error. You can see the way it's sitting on the table here. It's so twisted and it drives me crazy when I'm wearing it. They're also mesh lined and they're just too light for me. They're also a little bit too small for me. They're size 9, which is my typical size, but they're just too small and too light for me. And twisting on the finger, you can see the way this finger here, or this finger here will be, is sitting straight. This finger here is sitting twisted, like this gusset is touching the desk here, whereas this one isn't. It just drives you mad when I'm wearing it that the ball is actually catching on the gusset. So I've only worn them once. If somebody actually does want them, they can have them. You know, I really did not like these gloves, unfortunately. I've been meaning to try another pair of Keeper Sport gloves to give them a fair kind of crack, but just haven't kind of got around to it. But yeah, just definitely not for me, those gloves. And then coming to the end now, my second last pair of Renats. I've shown these on the channel as well before. I really like them, except they're just too light. This area of the back end here is way for thin, and as you've probably kind of seen from a few other gloves that I've mentioned, I like a little bit of support in my gloves, and these just don't offer it to me. So I kind of just never really kind of committed to wearing them. I wore them a few times. I actually picked up quite a bad hand injury in them as well, but the latex on them is excellent. I would look at more Renat gloves, just not these ones for me personally. Just didn't fit what I'm looking for out of a glove, but I actually do really like them. I wish I could wear them. They're just too lightweight. Strap and everything is so thick, and I do actually like that. And the thumb is class. You know, it's fully wrapped over on itself, as you can see there. You know, it's actually really nice. So yeah, if you like lightweight gloves, I would definitely check these out. The latex, it's called a Phoenix Quantum and Omega latex, Omega Extreme. I think it's just quartzite latex though, to be honest. Really good though, would try it again, and I love the cut on them as well. It's kind of like a VG3 but the opposite. So yeah, definitely worth checking out if you like super lightweight gloves, but just not for me personally. And then lastly, a pair of One gloves. These are actually still wet as I'm doing this now, so they're not very nice to touch, but I've worn these a good bit. I really like them. So they're kind of the ones that Alex McCarthy at Southampton is wearing at the minute, and I really like them, but there's one or two things I don't. So the strap again is an issue. So obviously these aren't on my hands now, but it fits like this to me when I'm wearing them. I think that I have reasonably decent sized wrists, and I have quite a bit of overhang when I'm wearing this strap. When I tie it as tight as I want, I can tie it as it's a stretch strap in a way that it doesn't do this, but it feels too loose, and the strap on these gloves is removable. And for me personally, I just don't think that removable straps on gloves work. I think you have to commit to one or the other, and I would much rather this be a fixed strap. So what I have been doing lately is I've been putting one of these straps on it, and it fits way better. It's so much better. But again, that's just me. You know, it is a little bit of a gripe I have with gloves. But other than that, really good gloves. I paid €60, I think, for these gloves, something like that, in that kind of price range anyway. Really like them. The cut is excellent. It's very like the Reich cut that I had earlier, and I wear those Adidas gloves in games, the hybrid cuts that I've shown, and I wear these in training. Perfect. Latex on them is brilliant for the price point. Definitely worth checking out. Size 9 as well, fits me perfectly. They're heavier than I thought they'd be as well. I bought these just out of curiosity because I saw Alex McCarthy and Fraser Forster and a few other keepers were wearing them, and I said I'd just give them a go, thinking they'd be too light for me to actually wear because they look quite lightweight, but there's a decent bit of padding in the gloves. I would wear these in the game, no problem. So yeah, very, very impressed with those so far. I'll definitely pick up another pair or two of them, hopefully in a few different colorways when they come out, but the strap is definitely something that it's the massive issue for me on a lot of gloves, and particularly on these ones. It's definitely where they're being let down. But other than that, I've no real complaints. Thumb is really nice. Latex, I'm not exactly sure what the latex is, but it reminds me of a contact latex anyway. But yeah, really good. No complaints with it, especially for the price that these are on offer for, when you consider what some of the gloves I've shown and what you could see on a few websites and stuff are going for at the minute. You're much better off getting something like 2 pairs of these, or 2 pairs of seismics, or the Popes I'd shown, or the Titans, you know, they're way better value. So yeah, these are the last pair anyway. I eventually got there. So if you're still watching and you have any questions or anything, as I said, leave them in the comments below, or if you have something kind of detailed you're looking for a bit of advice on or anything like that, send me a message to my Instagram page that I have linked in the description below. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to give it another like and comment if you can. Cheers.